Hello and welcome to another Broken Meeple review, and this is Deep Blue. Some of you probably might not have heard of it, but I don't know if this video will come out by the time it releases, but at the moment this is an advanced copy from Days of Wonder and Asmodee, and it is, like I say, it's Days of Wonder's next family weight title, and that gets me intrigued already, because Days of Wonder are kind of one of the kings when it comes to gateway level family weight games. You know, they make them well produced, they make them simple to play. Even some of their meatier stuff like Five Tribes and Yamatai, yeah, they're not for gateway gamers, but they're not the most difficult games to get into, and they're deceptively clever. But I do look forward to their stuff, and so having no idea what this was about and just going, oh, they got a new game out, sweet, I was keen to get stuck in, or take a dive if you would. But Deep Blue is funny enough, a diving game where you and other players are divers going into wrecks in order to find treasure and gems. Now, you have two boats that you sail across a map. You have a crewman that you can pay to recruit, and essentially it's kind of like a semi-deck building. It's more of a hand management game rather than deck building, because you have some starter cards, and as you play cards they go into a rest area, but you can pay to recruit other cards that go straight to your hand, but when you play them they go to the rest pile and you have to rest as an action in order to get them back, but you only get some of them back. So the more that you buy, the less likely you'll see them. They could be tired for longer. So it's kind of a mix between hand management and deck building in a sense. But you're going to these different wrecks, sailing your boat by playing cards with the propeller symbol in order to move, playing cards with the money symbol to recruit, and when you get to these wrecks, you're deciding whether to dive or not. And you can be scouting the location ahead of time to get a little bonus or a bit of safety, but for the most part, you want to get there and you want to be the one to initiate a dive. And when you dive, there's kind of like this little mini game that's played out with, let's see, I've got the game here, with a little sideboard. And what it means is that you have a bag full of gems, which I swear come from the exact same shop that many other games buy their gems from. Things like Dragon's Gold and stuff like that. Honestly, I swear it's the same shop. But like I say, they look cool, they're nice and pretty, and you get a nice bag for them. But what you do is that you draw the gem out of the bag one at a time and place it on this board. And essentially the board is just telling you how many points the various gems are worth. You get like 1 for a grey, 2 for a gold, 4 for a red, 0 for green and purple unless you have the cards to play. The recruit cards sometimes give you a bonus in each dive if the prerequisite of gems comes out. If it does, you play the card and those points are banked, you can't lose them. How'd you lose points? Well, because this is kind of a push your luck game, and push your luck mini game if you would. Because black and blue gems are hazards, threats and oxygen respectively. Drawing 1 of each is fine. Drawing 2 of any of them though means you have to protect yourself against the hazard, and some recruited crewmen will be able to defend you against them. Some of those scouting spaces I mentioned before, when you land on the tile and slot into a scout space, they might protect you, but you have to protect yourself or you're forced to resurface and you lose all the points from the gems. You keep the card points and the points for initiating the dive, which vary from tile to tile, but you lose the points for the gems. And only the dive leader gets to draw them out and decide when he wants to stop. So, as I said, push your luck. You as the leader will be drawing, gems out of this bag one at a time, going, grey, gold, okay, blue, I can't defend against blue. Do I keep going and hope? Red, oh good, yes, I got that one. Do I keep going? Black, yes, that's fine. Oh, that's a bit dangerous now. You know what? I'll stop. And you as the other players can join in on the dive. Because yes, the leader is there, going and pulling out the gems, and they have control. But if your boat is within a space of the wreck tile, they can sail in and go, ooh, hello. It's like, I see you're about to do a dive there. You mind if I join you? You don't get a choice in the matter, they're going to be there. But with other players on the dive, they're also scoring for the gems you draw and the cards they play. So maybe you don't want to draw too many gems in case they get a lot of points. Maybe you want to end it early. Maybe you want it to bust as quickly as possible because you know they won't be able to handle the hazards. But you know that certain players are going to benefit as well as you. But of course, the fun factor then comes into like the other players telling the dive leader to no, stop. Seriously, what are you doing? Stop. He doesn't have to listen to you, but you're there going, oh, no, stop. Seriously, don't dive. But then you've also got the other player who's basically sort of like whispering in their ear, like, do it, do it, do it, do it. You know, it's like you want it. And it creates a lot of good fun banter with all the other players. You keep going on these different rec tiles and you go to different ones, some starter ones and some serious ones. And there are 4 sunken cities within the later game ones. As soon as 4 of them are explored, game ends, count up the points. And I believe there's no endgame scoring apart from... No, there's no endgame scoring. It's just literally, okay, count up your points that you have in what is a very cool looking chest. And of course, the winner is the one with the most.
Of course!
So how about we get the most obvious thing out of the way and just comment how gorgeous this game is. Oh my god. Deep Blue, Days of Wonder are known for creating great looking games. They take their time, they put effort into it, and you can just tell this one took effort. I mean, this little sideboard here already looks nice and colourful. The bag with the gems, I'm not going to show them on camera, but you know, you've seen these gems before, but they're nice components. The player board's nice and colourful. The board itself, oh my god, you know, a thing of beauty with its sea landscape and thick and nicely illustrated. But I'll show you a picture for a better one. But check this out. It's going to slide out a bit because they're sleeve cards, but I'll get onto that later. But oh, look at that. I mean, you've got these thick rec tiles, you've got the cards themselves, which are very nicely, you won't be able to see it on camera, but they're very nicely illustrated, very colourful. The graphic design is good on them. It works for right and left-handed people because the symbol of what it does is at the bottom, the left corner and the right corner. So it doesn't matter how you hold these cards, upside down, left, right, you'll be able to read the card. Really nice. Sleeved cards fit in the game, but not in their original cubby hold, if that makes sense. There's a slot where they'll all fit if they're unsleeved. If you sleeve them, you kind of have to put most in here and some in there. Makes no difference, it holds them just fine. So yes, sleeved cards work. I know this because they're sleeved. You get these cool little plastic boats, you've got money, cardboard tokens, but look at this. You get this plastic treasure chest. You know, not like the greatest thing ever, but it's a solid plastic chest that you basically put your tokens in. It's a bit like Small World where you get the victory points as tokens and you keep them hidden. Well, here you get a little chest to do it. And you just keep them all in there. You know, shake it all about. Each of you gets one of these and at the end of the game you simply open it up and count what's in it. Feels like you're really getting treasure. But it's solid production quality for what is basically a fairly light family game. You know, you could have easily done this with less of a quality in production, but Days of Wonder, they know how to pull out the stops and make it appealing. Kids are going to look at this and go, oh, this is colourful, this is fun, can we play, mummy? You know, and even gamers alike are going to look at this and go, pretty, you know, I mean, the cover is pretty nice, you know, with the scene of boats at the top and everyone diving down to this big ship with fish, you know, and I don't know, I get a kick out of sea imagery, you know, like oceans and seas and waterfalls and stuff like that. I get a kick out of it. It's just it's a colour scheme and a style I like. I mean, look at my love for Abyss, you know, you've seen me gush about that one on a regular basis. Similar here. But all in all, artwork and production quality are A+. Really, really nice. I can't fault anything apart from maybe the insert slightly. I mean, the insert is good. It holds everything, but the coins are laid out in a little trough, and I'm a little paranoid, even with the board in, about storing it vertically. I haven't tried as much, but I think it should hold, but I fear that some coins will slide out if you do. It's not as bad as some games, but maybe this is one that you might want to store horizontally if you want to be on the safe side. But okay, so it looks nice. Is it a good family weight game though? Well, it's definitely a family weight game. I mean, this is pretty light. Don't know if I would say it's gateway level though, because you've got the different abilities on the cards. You've got the idea of, right, I've got to move 2 boats and get them around. Do I want to be in range of somebody when they're, you know, going to dive, or should I just carry on in this direction and do my own dive? When do I want to stop drawing gems? When do I don't? There's a reasonable amount to think about here, but it's still a light game. But I don't think I would call this gateway level. I'd say it's a next step. But for certain families, I think this will be perfect. I think it won't take long to teach kids this. I think, you know, parents are going to get this fine. Gamers are going to get this easily. It doesn't even take that long to teach. I mean, I can teach this in about, 5 to 10 minutes with pretty much ease, you know, and that's after only playing it once. The rulebook is easy to read. It's easy to, like, reference from. It's a pretty solid game all round from a family standpoint. But of course, is it still fun to play? Because I can already tell what some of you are thinking out there. The idea of moving your boats around and getting the treasure and like recruiting the cards from a tableau of cards and that's all good. And the whole hand management thing, I mean, that's quite a nice little, it's a little bit of a luck of the draw because you may never draw the card that you want if you buy too many. But having multi-use cards sometimes, like do I want to use it for the points or do I want to play it to recruit another guy? I don't know. Do I want to recruit the one that gives me points for having lots of gems drawn, or do I want to buy the one who protects me from a threat, you know? Am I going to trust to luck? It is very much like the old gamble you've got to play with here. But the element of push your luck is what's going to make or break this game for you. I personally have no problem with it. Push your luck is a fun mechanic and it has its place in a family weight or lighter game. I have no qualms with it here. But some of you who don't like push your luck might get a little bit put off, and here's why. Because you know, you have to move your boats around and it's important to get your boats spread out, don't congregate them in the same area, and it's important to try and sneak in on other people's dives rather than just do your own. Yes, that player will get some points for initiating a dive, but if you're within reach of it, you might get some points for doing jack, you know. I've had times where I'll join I'm thinking like, well, if he initiates a dive, I'll go on it, but I'm not that fast. Oh, you have? Okay, I'll go to it. Oh, look, 12 points. And I literally wasn't even aiming for it. You know, it just happened to turn out that way. But it's quite satisfying when you draw enough gems and you initiate the dive to get something like 25 points or something ridiculous. You know, but every point counts. It's important. And because it's hidden information, you don't know whether you're in the lead or not at any particular point. And because you've got to draw 4 sunken city tiles, you don't know necessarily when the game might be close to ending. But this push your luck side, I like it fine. It's tense, it creates good banter between people. When a dive fails, they will get like ragged on for being like a useless captain. But if they succeed, people are sort of cheering or go to like, oh, you lucky, you know, or just congratulating them for a really good dive. There's a good amount of banter that comes with it, but it is push your luck. You might have all the defenses you need for blue and you draw black gems. You might have all the defenses you need and never draw the coloured gems. You just instantly burn through the hazards. You might have no defenses whatsoever and draw nothing but gold and red and green and purple. You know, you draw no hazards, in which case, lucky you. There's definitely only so much you can do to mitigate this luck. You know, the blue and the black threat is the main thing you mitigate because you can have the recruit cards or go on the scouting spaces, and you can try and get extra points on certain scouting spaces which give you extra points for a certain coloured gem being pulled out. And of course you might have picked up a couple of recruit cards that really want the green gem. You're just hoping that the green gem appears. There's only so many. More gems get added to the bag to offset the distribution based on the cards that come out. So if there's a card that wants a green gem will get put in the bag to mitigate it. But again, you're kind of hoping you're going to draw those gems, and you might never see the green gem on any dive you do ever. It just may go that way. You have to accept going into this game that it is a push your luck game, but it's a family game. It's a light game. It's one that is suitable for cafes and game cafes and all that lot. Why should it not have an element of luck? This is not meant to be a ridiculously strategic game. It's meant to be one that you have some decisions to make and some actual tactical choices that are meaningful. You know, where do I move? Which card should I get? Should I go to his dive or should I go somewhere else? But then you have the luck factor of this. But I find it a fun element. Yeah, like I said, it creates good banter. It promotes player interaction because it's, you know, you've got the solitaire element of what you do with the cards, and you might nick someone's card that they want. You know, you're not directly hurting anybody. You don't like steal from other players. You're not pirates in this game. You're divers. But the whole thing of, you know, that other players are going to come near you and stuff like that, and people talking with each other or like looking, as soon as somebody gets out this little board, they're like, ooh, okay, what are you drawing? What are you drawing? You know, people get involved. And because it looks so gorgeous on the table, people will come round and watch because it is such a spectacle. It has table presence. Now, as I said, the game is very light, but does it scale well? Does it play to the right length? Deep Blue, I believe, does it mention on the cover how long it takes? And it's kind of weird actually. The top of this board does not mention anything apart from the publisher and designer. It doesn't say what the player count is or anything. You kind of have to go to the rule book in order to do it. And the rule book is decent enough. I mean, it's fairly text heavy, but you've got a lot of pictorial pictorial examples here, and it's pretty easy to reference. The setup setup guide is really easy. Not difficult at all. But this game kind of varies a lot on how long it takes, because a 2-player game might take you 45 minutes. A 5-player game could take you up to 90. It really depends on when those sunken city tiles come out and how fast people gun towards that area. Do people want to harvest all the yellow ones first and then move on to the red? Well, the game could take a while, particularly if you've got those slow players. Now, with that said, I don't think it outstays its welcome too much until you get to that kind of 75-minute, 90-minute area, and then it's a little bit too long. But on your first play, you might be a bit slower. On subsequent plays, you should be able to get this done in about an hour. 75 minutes tops, and that's a decent enough length for the max player count. Now, in saying that, this game plays 2 to 5 players. I don't think it scales particularly well. 5 feels a little bit cluttered, because you go around these rectangles and you find that a lot of the time everybody is joining your dive. Occasionally one person might not be there. It might be a rare occasion that there's only 2 or 3 of you on the dive. To get a dive to yourself is very unlikely with 5 players. So the board gets a little bit too crowded. 4 is definitely the sweet spot. It's that right balance of length and interaction with enough boats. 2 and even 3 to an extent. I mean, 3's not bad, but 2, I just wouldn't want to play this with 2. It's too open. You've got all these wrecks to go after, and for a lot of the time you might just be diving by yourself. Why would you bother? It's not fun enough at that player count to warrant playing it with 2 to 3 players. 3's not too bad, but again, I would sooner play this with 4, and I mentioned that it's a bit cluttered at 5. I don't think it's a big deal. It's not a massive deal breaker, the fact that it gets a bit cluttered, because at least with 5 of you, there's a lot of players, there's a lot of interaction, there's a lot of different cards going around, and it works at 5. It doesn't take that long at 5. I mean, finding a game that's light with 5 players and that's not too long is actually quite a hard thing to do these days, so I'll give it kudos for that. But yeah, 2 to 3, not a big fan of. 4 to 5, and 4 definitely is where it's at. So where do I stand with this? I think it's a solid family game. I think it will probably take the kids maybe 1 game to get used to it, but then they'll pretty much be on board. And, I think gamers will get this easily. It's not a difficult one to learn, not a difficult one to teach. Looks the part. Decent length, maybe in your sort of second and subsequent game. Not quite gateway level. I don't think it's simple enough for a gateway game, but certainly a next step. So I'm not going to give it a gateway guarantee or whatever this fictional award is that I'm still working on. But it's, like I say, I think it's solid. Looks great, plays well, has a bit of fun banter, bit of push your luck to mitigate some tactical choices and decision making. Overall, I quite enjoyed this one. I'm gonna... hard to say. Would I play it multiple times and would I actively bring it to a game night? I probably would. It does look pretty sweet and I do get a kick out of playing it. So I'm probably going to give this one a solid 8. It's an enjoyable mix of mechanics in a game that is accessible to all, that looks the part, doesn't take too long for the most part. If anything is hurting it, it's the fact that the push your luck aspect can hose you at times, it's going to put off some players, and it doesn't scale that well, which means that you are kind of fixing it at 4 and 5 players, not really for 3, although 3 is okay, and 2, I just wouldn't go near this game with 2 players. It's definitely more of a multiplayer style game, but it's a solid entry. Didn't know anything about it going in, and I was pleasantly surprised by it, and I enjoyed my time. So I'll probably hang on to this one for a bit, and see how it goes in the long term. But for now, that's it for this review. So take care. I'll see you on the next Broken Meeple video. Try and get it right. But whether you're filching on my dive or too lucky at drawing all those gems out and I just draw the blues all the time, whatever, it's still only a game. So take a dive and have fun.